Modern equipment for playing cassette tapes generally falls into the same product categories that were popular during the format's heyday in the 1980s. Walkman-style cassette players, boomboxes, portable shoebox-style cassette recorders, and component tape decks. The electronics and mechanisms in them may be new, but the ideas behind them definitely are not. That's why I have to give the folks at Encore Technology, or whichever company actually designed this for them, credit for coming up with something totally new and unique back in 2010. Even if it ended up looking like a cross between a car radio and a kitchen appliance. The Deluxe Stereo Cassette System, Model 5500. From 2011 to 2012, it was sold by the mail-order catalog company Heartland America for $79.99, which they claimed was a discount off of its suggested retail price of $129. As stated on the box, its main purpose was to convert your cassette tapes to MP3 files on either a USB thumb drive or an SD card. But it can also be used to just listen to your cassettes through its built-in stereo speakers. Converting your cassette tapes to MP3 files is as simple as putting in your USB drive or SD card and popping in the cassette with the side you want to play facing up. Then push the record button. It's now recording. If you want to split tracks, you just push the track forward button. Now it's starting a new file. And when you're done recording, you just push the record button again to stop, and then eject your tape. And you're done. It supports SDHC cards up to 32 gigabytes and any size of FAT32 formatted USB drive. It defaults to 128 kilobits per second, but by holding down the recording button, you can change it to 256 or 96, so you get a choice of bit rates. The cassette player should remind you of an inexpensive 1980s car stereo because it uses the same exact mechanism as one. There is no rewind and no auto reverse. The only control you get is fast forward. You push in the button until it locks, then push it again to resume playback. It will auto stop at the end of the tape, but if you want to stop it before then, just push in the button all the way until the tape pops out. On the front, it also has a stereo headphone jack and an aux input jack for listening to and converting other analog audio sources. And you can use it to play MP3 files from any USB drive or SD card, even ones which were not created on this unit itself, using the included remote control. It will display the ID3 tags, including title and artist and album, from other MP3 files, but it does not add them to the files it creates itself. The remote control does not operate the cassette mechanism or the volume control, but it can at least serve as a pause function for the cassette playback.
We will now pause for several seconds of fine music to let...
By switching to one of the other inputs and then switching back to tape when you want to resume playback.
Experiment with the graphic equalizer and the joystick speaker balance control.
On the back, you can connect it to a better sounding pair of external powered stereo speakers through the RCA line output jacks, and if you prefer lossless digital transfers rather than MP3 files, you can connect it to your computer using the included USB cable. But one thing to look out for is that by default, the USB output sets itself to one channel, so if you want it to be in stereo, you have to go into your control panel under USB audio codec microphone and change it to 2-channel 16-bit 48,000 Hz DVD quality. And now you can digitize your music in stereo through the USB output. It also includes a quick start guide flowchart, which is unusual, but old school computer programmers should love that, as well as several other quick instructions for recording on USB and SD cards, for recording, exporting, and saving into your computer, a 3-year limited warranty, and the full instruction manual, the majority of which just tells you how to use Audacity, which would have been included on a CD originally, but mine is missing that. But that's okay because that would have been an old version of the program from 2010. I got it for $50 on eBay, including the original box, but unfortunately I think it had been exposed to extreme temperature and humidity because all the grease in the cassette mechanism had solidified into sand-like granules. So I had to go in there and try to clean all that out and re-lubricate it with new grease. And also there was significant corrosion on the tape head and capstan, which I had to try to remove. And now it's mostly working, but the sound is still kind of wobbly, so you have to excuse it for not performing at its best due to the conditions it was stored in. In fact, the first few tapes I tried playing in it before I did all that restoration work got munched on quite hungrily, so that's a lesson to not put any good tapes into an unknown conditioned cassette player until you're assured of its correct operation. After the cleaning and lubrication, it's at least now safe to use, even if it's not going to give you the best sound quality from the tapes you're playing in it. Now I'll use it to convert this cassette tape, which is a chrome tape with Dolby B noise reduction, neither of which this supports, and I'll be using it to convert it to a 256 kilobit MP3 file, and I'll dub the audio from that MP3 file directly into the video, so you'll get a direct hookup of what it sounds like.
I've been waiting here forever now. I really don't know when. Such a difference in believing still and believing again. Moon belongs to Rachel now, but she won't let me try. Moon belongs to Rachel. I've been fighting this forever now, never seem to win. What's the difference between changing minds and simply giving in? The moon belongs to Rachel now, but she won't let me try. The moon belongs to Rachel.
On the bottom there's a sticker indicating it's the Encore Technology USB cassette converter music combo, model 5500. Distributed by Electro Brand Incorporated of Westchester, Illinois, and has a date of December 2010. But I don't know what this sticker is talking about, saying it has invisible laser radiation when open and interlocks defeated. Avoid exposure to beam. This is not a CD player. There's no laser inside, nor are there any interlocks. To take it apart, you remove all the screws on the bottom, which are marked by arrows. And once you do that, you can easily open the lid, revealing a rather large power transformer, a linear power supply, 2 main circuit boards, and the cassette mechanism. It looks like the lower circuit board contains mostly analog circuitry, while the upper one contains mostly digital circuitry, including a whole lot of electrolytic capacitors on the underside of it. There are also various smaller circuit boards attached to the front panel, including the volume control, the buttons, the liquid crystal display, the SD card slot, and the USB port. Attached to the underside of the lid is the circuit board, which contains the USB encoder chip, which is a Burr Brown PCM 2900E, and also a pair of 2.5-inch 8-ohm 2-watt speakers with rather large magnets. And there's the cassette mechanism with the date of the 4th of December 2010 on it. And if you look way down in there, you may be able to see some of that granulated grease I had to clean out and replace with fresh grease down in the gears of the mechanism. The mechanism it uses is a clone of the Tanishin TN301N, and yes, it was originally designed for use in car stereos. And while the cassette mechanism is a Tanishin knockoff because they had stopped making mechanisms by 2010, leaving only the knockoffs left, the motor is actually a genuine Mabuchi. It has their official sticker on it and their stamping in the lid. And while it does have a metal flywheel, unfortunately it's not the most accurately balanced in either the lateral or vertical planes. And there's the stereo tape head. It looks pretty clean now, but it still has some traces of corrosion on it that I was not able to entirely remove. And the pinch roller looks virtually brand new, but the capstan definitely also has some corrosion on it. I may try to clean that off a bit better. Let me try a fiberglass pen and see how that works. Oh yeah, you can definitely see on the tip of that pen all that dirt that came off the capstan. Okay, I think that's the best I'm gonna get it. I have some of this super duper banned by the EPA tape head cleaner, which contains Freon. You can definitely tell that by how it smells. So I used that to give the head a really good clean. I also replaced the belt because the original one was getting stretched out, and I just used one from one of these random grab bag assortments that you can get on Amazon or AliExpress, and those are definitely not the highest quality belts because I don't know if the camera's frame rate will pick it up, but you can definitely see it was not cut to a consistent thickness, which is also definitely negatively affecting its speed stability. And yeah, the wow and flutter is so bad it's off the scale, but like I said, due to the harsh conditions this was subjected to, with all the corrosion and the grease getting solidified and all the work I needed to do to try to just get it working again, I wouldn't judge it too strictly. It's clearly not performing the way it's supposed to. I didn't want to leave this video with this player sounding so sickly, so I transplanted in a new mechanism. You can get these for as little as $3 each on AliExpress. They're called an X301 cassette movement, but with tariffs and shipping from China, it was actually cheaper to get it on Amazon, where they cost about $12 with free next day Prime shipping. I was able to transplant all the parts from the original mechanism, including the eject lever, the motor, the auto stop switch, and the head, so I didn't even need to do any soldering. There's the fast forward, and play, and eject. It's all working. Now let's see if that swap of the mechanism was worth it, and if it actually performs better now. Well, it definitely is better, but still not great. The manual specifies it should be below 0.4% WRMS, and it is below that. So I think this is pretty much as good as you're going to get from one of these slot-loading generic Chinese Tanishin clone mechanisms.
Was I gay until today?
So, is it worth getting the Encore Technology 5500 Deluxe Stereo Cassette System? Well, it is a simple and stylish way to play your cassette tapes and convert them to MP3 files. And if you manage to find one whose cassette mechanism wasn't rusting and literally turning into sand due to the conditions it was stored in, it might actually sound pretty good.
But you're not worth it. You're not worth it, it's true. Now all the nice things that you do aren't worth everything I've been through.
And I do wish some company would put it back into production today. This slot loading cassette mechanism definitely is still being manufactured, so it would be entirely possible to do so. I tried searching for who actually manufactured this, even looking up the part numbers on the circuit boards inside, and I came up with nothing. Nor was I able to find this product being sold under any other brands and model numbers. So if you're crazy enough to actually want one of these, it looks like this version of it, the Encore Technology 5500, is the only one that was ever made.